I am Gerry Klug. I'm the sales director for the converting and printing papers business at International Paper.
How did you personally handle all of the challenges that arose in 2020?
Really good and pertinent question, since a lot of 2020 is rolling into 2021 as we speak. So every day was different for all of us, and everybody went on this journey a little bit differently, depending on where they lived in the country, what their family situation was, both nuclear family and extended family. So our biggest position on this, and the way I tried to manage it, was we have to treat everyone a little bit differently depending on their situation. And the reality is, all we were trying to do each and every day was be a little better that day than we had been the day before, and hopefully move in a direction that is positive and keep people's spirits uplifted as best as we possibly could. So trying to keep the paper portion of our business in perspective relative to the rest of our lives. So our employment is really important, and it's how we are able to do things with our family and support things that we like to do, as well as education and things like that. But our job is what we do, it's not who we are. And last year was a very stark reminder of that.
So 2020 aside, what are you most looking forward to this year on a professional level?
So 2021 brings with it its own set of challenges. I think for most of us, first and foremost, the ability at some point this year to get out and meet in person with our friends that we've been in this industry with for so long. That too will be different. Traveling will be different. Everything we do around engagement with customers are going to be different. But the ability to reconnect on a personal level beyond Zoom or a webinar or whatever it may be, and all of this is very effective. And I'm sure, like all of our other folks within the industry, we're going to be incorporating a lot of this into what we do going forward, but it will not be all that you do. So having the ability to re-engage with people on a personal level and get in front of people and break bread again and understand what has truly transpired for them over the last 12 to 18 months. And then how do we work together to form a better, stronger business alliance for the industry as we move forward.
Why are sustainability and safety so important in the process of creating paper? Obviously, specifically talking about what you do and International Paper as a whole.
Really good questions, and something that is near and dear to our heart, not only at International Paper, but across the industry. So we talk a lot about having people have the ability to return home in the same manner that they went to work. That is probably the most grounded level you can get around safety. So there's nothing that anybody can do that is more important than doing things safely in a work environment. What has been really neat for us at International Paper, as a manufacturer of product, the safety requirements are incredible. And the amount of people that we have going through mills at any given point in time, whether they're IP employees or contractors, is astounding. It's like a small city. So the ability to keep people safe on an ongoing basis is critical to what we do. So it is embedded within our values. We have some work metrics that we measure, along with a lot of our peers on how we measure that, but we've embedded it in our business. So every call that we start out on, whether it's a team call or a division call or a sector call, starts and ends with safety. So how was safety the day before? What are some findings that we weren't aware of when we started the day before? And how are we going to be safer going forward when we leave the environment? What's been really neat through 2020 and into 2021, given our work from home status, is that now has been embedded in what we do in our personal lives also. So as we share best practices for the last 12 months, they really haven't been around the work office. They have been at the mill, obviously, but for folks who do not work at mills, it's been what have they incorporated in their personal lives that they weren't doing before, just because they're more cognizant of those safety issues. So the reality is we want everyone to leave when they go home at the end of the day in the same shape they came in at, and that is the least measure to start with, but it's really important, and it helps ground us. As you look to sustainability, I think it's fascinating because we look at trees are a crop. They're a sustainable resource. They're an ongoing sustainable resource. So without trees, we're not making any paper at all. So it's in our best interest to make sure that trees are managed on a sustainable basis, and the forestry practices that go into that are renewable, not only for the supplier who is making the paper, but for the landowners who are have a business, quite frankly, to run based on the fiber that they're providing to whatever supplier that may be. So if you are involved in the business, we would view it like corn or any other crop. If we don't have a process that is renewable on an ongoing basis, we run out of the ability to make our product. So it is core to what we do on a daily basis. And it's been fascinating. We've had situations where, whether we have moved out of a facility where we manufacture product in a geography, and landowners have come back to us over time and said, and this is not an international paper issue, this would be for any supplier of the product in that area managing that business. Landowners have come back and said, it was much better when you were running a manufacturing facility in this area, because the forest lands were taken care of in a much better manner. And my ability to turn that crop over, because whether it was International Paper or someone else, was actively going in and working the forest to allow those trees to reach maximum length and height in a shortest period of time, no longer takes place. So we actually provide a resource to the landowners, not only on the purchase of the crop, if you will, but the management of the land for them also.
You see with a lot of companies that they make it very clear that they are sustainability conscious now. So I just wasn't sure if that was even a consideration, even if we go back a couple of decades, that just didn't seem like something that was circling in the ether as far as best practices for a business.
Well, you're exactly right. So and it's not necessarily the paper industry, right? But large buying groups of stocks, so whether they're mutual fund or index funds or hedge funds, will purchase stocks of companies based on their sustainability processes and practices. And that becomes core to who you are as a company, and how you project yourself to whether it's the consumer or an intermediary of your particular product, and how you manage the environment on an ongoing basis. It absolutely has changed. Forget about the recycled versus non-recycled thing. It's more around how are you managing your resources on an ongoing basis, and how are you trying to have a circular flow on whatever that product is that you are producing. So is there a way to, if it's a box, is there a way to get that box back through recycling? If it's electronics, how do you get that back before it heads to a landfill and you're able to make something out of it again before it ends up in a difficult environmental situation? That's kind of core to us in the paper industry, but it certainly has migrated well beyond the forest products industry on an ongoing basis. Absolutely.
What are some key public policy issues with which international paper holds interest?
The one that is hot right now, and it's hot for us right now because at International Paper, a big component of the business that I manage is envelope products to envelope converters. So the USPS, the new Postmaster General, or relatively new Postmaster General, the process that the USPS is going through right now to understand their ongoing financial situation and what is the what is the uh, agreement, if you will, that the post office has with the general public on how often mail is delivered, where it is delivered, how it is delivered, and how timely it is delivered. So it's very timely given the new post or relatively new postmaster general. It's relatively timely given the fact that we're talking about increased postal rates, and it's obviously very timely given we're coming out of the holiday season when things, because of the way things are being packaged and shipped today, there's a pressure on the USPS that hasn't been there before, and that is a long-term sustainable project for anybody who's involved in the paper industry, whether you're selling envelopes to be converted into envelopes, where you're selling forms which are going into some form of billing and statement, whether it's coated paper for direct mail applications, whether it's lightweight coated for catalog and magazines, whatever the case may be, how that product goes through the mail stream and what the cost of for that product to go through the mail stream is critical for all of us right now.
Here, would you like to talk about anything else that you think is worth including?
I guess I'd like to comment as a member of the NPTA board, right? I think we have a challenge in front of us as we embark into new territory. Clearly, we have a environment where packaging is becoming a bigger part of what we all do, whether we're suppliers or distributors or converters or printers of the product. So what we're doing is changing, and that's okay. That's good, right? It's sustainable, and people are able to provide a profit that allows more people to work. But I think how we manage as a business is fascinating to me. So for most of us, we manage hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on a handshake, which is almost unheard of anymore. So clearly there's an email trail on communication. But for the most part, if you call me and ask me a question and I tell you that the product is going to show up on this day and the product is going to be priced at this price, my word is my bond to you. And that's how we manage the business. And I believe that separates us from many of the other industries out there. And I believe that's why so many people stay in this industry for so long, because it is a very close-knit, trusting environment that we've all worked through, whether we've done it for a long time or a shorter period of time. And I think making sure that we continue to make that a cornerstone of who we are and how we manage business going forward is going to be paramount to how we make sure this is sustainable on an ongoing basis. Now, and that doesn't mean we don't go down more efficient and effective methods. That's part of what we do. But the core of what we do is based on trust and vulnerability with each other. And I think continuing to manage that through difficult times is one of the most critical things we can do as an industry and as a board to make sure we continue to communicate out to the folks that are members that is a big part of what we believe and we want to continue to do on an ongoing basis.